Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture for the course Refrigeration and Air Conditioning. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is Air Conditioning Process Calculation. In that we will see sensible and latent heat loads. Myself Sumit Bardia, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering, Gujarat. In this lecture we will see the following points, like different heat sources, estimation of loads, cooling load estimate, heating load estimate, solar radiation, solar heat gain through glass. The first slide is about the different heat sources. The categories are sensible heat load and latent heat load. Now it is necessary for air conditioning designers to know about the heat sources and their nature before taking the job design of air conditioning systems. The nature of heat sources which contribute heat to the air conditioning systems used for summer, as we have previously discussed. The details of the heat sources will be used for comfort air conditioning, industrial air conditioning, product storage system, as well as product freezing systems. Now the air conditioning systems used to carry out two types of loads known as sensible heat load and latent heat load. Now the sources which contribute to the sensible heat load are listed here. The first one is heat flows through the exterior walls, floors, ceilings, windows and doors due to the temperature difference between their two sides, room or any space or surrounding, the difference between the two temperatures. Second load is about the solar radiation, load due to the solar radiation, which is again divided into two, that is heat transmitted directly by solar radiation through the glass of windows and ventilators. Heat from the sun will be absorbed by the walls and roofs, and later it is transferred to the room by conduction itself. So these two loads under solar radiation will responsible for the heat transfer. Next is heat received from the occupants. If in the room the occupants are present there, so again the heat increases with respect to the heat load from the occupants. Next is heat received from the different equipments which are commonly used in air conditioned building. Next is heat received from infiltration. Heat received from the infiltrated air from outside through cracks in the doors, windows and ventilators, and through their frequent openings. For example, bank. In the bank we know that the doors is opening closing so frequently, so that the infiltration will taking place in order to increase the heat transfer rate. And last one is the miscellaneous heat sources. In that, heat gained by the ducts carrying the conditioned air and passing through unconditioned space. Heat transfer through interior partition of the rooms in the same building which are not air conditioned. So that is coming under miscellaneous heat sources. Next category is about the latent heat load. Now the sources which contribute to the latent heat, that is first by latent heat load from the air entering into the air conditioned space by infiltration. So infiltration again by cracks in the windows, doors. So outside air is entering inside the room, so that is called as an infiltration. Infiltration is coming in the both heat load, that is sensible as well as latent heat load. Next is latent heat load from the occupants. Occupants having a sweating, again that leads towards latent heat load. Last one is the latent heat load from the cooking foods and stored water, from the stored materials. So from that also the latent heat load will increase. So these two categories are coming under heat sources, which greatly responsible for the designing of air conditioning system. Before going through the estimation of loads, I need to give some more information on it. One more, that is latent heat, is moisture passing directly into the air conditioned space through permeable walls where the water vapor pressure is higher. So that is again considered as a latent heat load. Now these sources add the water vapor into the air conditioned space, which should be removed, absorbing its latent heat by the cooling apparatus. The amount of heat removed in the form of latent heat is known as latent heat load. Now, the removal of 1 kg of water vapor is considered as an 2400 kilojoule of heat load on cooling coil generally. Now, this includes some sensible heat in addition to the latent heat, because the vapor always remains in the superheated conditions in air unless the air is not in a saturated condition. Now the loads which contribute to the sensible heat load as well as latent heat loads, which adds the heat in the air conditioned room. So the total heat to be removed by air conditioning system is the sum of all the loads, sum of sensible heat load plus sum of latent heat load. Now some sources are there. The fresh air from the outside adds to the sensible as well as latent heat loads on the air conditioner, not in the room. Second, heat gain from the fan work. If fan is working, it added more heat in the fresh air and it is also removed in the air conditioner if the fan is installed before the air conditioner. Now for finding out this load on air conditioning system, we need to deeply understand the sensible heat load and latent heat load calculations. Now the next slide is about the estimation of loads. Now the estimation of loads are listed here, but the primary requirement of cooling and heating equipment is must be able to remove or add heat at a rate at which it is produced, or removed and maintain the given comfort conditions in the room. Now the proportion of sensible heat to the latent heat decides sensible heat ratio, or it is also called as enthalpy humidity difference ratio, and hence also the condition at which the conditioned air must enter the room, because it lies on the line drawn from the room condition at the slope of above ratios. The cost of equipment will be quite high if it is designed for maximum heating or cooling loads. The owner may be prepared to tolerate some uncomfort for a short time to save capital cost investment. If the equipment is designed for average loads, there may be long periods of uncomfort and the equipment may soon become unpopular. Hence, the capacity equipment must be estimated at a value which wisely accounts for the physical and economical comfort of the owner. It is the only exact and detailed estimation of heating and cooling loads which helps in the particular or exact decision. Now here the list is given how we can going to estimate a load. First one is magnitude and direction of wind velocity, outside humidity and temperature, nature of construction and material used, orientation of openings, windows and doors, periods of occupancy and number of persons. So these are we are going to estimate a load of these parameters. Now one has to be satisfied with the estimation under assumed condition, keeping the variables fixed, and allowances must be made for. when the actual conditions are different from which is assumed. Thus, to make precise load estimation or calculation is not very simple, unfortunately, and some of the sources of the load are difficult to predict and evaluate. Now, for a practicing engineer, it is not possible to make detailed calculations, and therefore he must refer some latest editions of HVAC and make quick easy estimates. Okay, so this is about the estimation of loads. Now again, estimation of load is categorized into two types, that is cooling load estimation and heating load estimation. We will see first the cooling load estimation. For air conditioning, the cooling load can be classified as follows, that is first one is room load, which falls on room directly. Second is total load, which falls on the air conditioning apparatus. First we'll see the room load. Now room load is having again two categories, that is room sensible heat RSH and second one room latent heat RLH. Room sensible heat consists of solar and transmission heat gain through walls and roof, solar and transmission heat gain through glass, transmission gain through partition walls, ceiling, floor, etc. Infiltration, internal heat gain from people, power, lights, appliances. Additional heat gain which is not accounted above, safety factor, etc. Supply duct heat gain, supply duct leakage loss and fan power. So these parameters are coming under room load. Room sensible heat, which is under room load. So next is room latent heat. So which parameters are coming? First one is infiltration. We are already discussed that infiltration is coming in room sensible heat also and room latent heat also. Internal heat from people, steam, appliances, vapor transmission, additional heat gain, similarly safety factor, etc. and supply duct leakage loss. So these are coming under room latent heat. Now it may be noted that if we add bypassed air load to room sensible heat, we will get the effective room sensible heat, ERSH. Similarly, adding bypassed air load to the room latent heat, we will get effective room latent heat. So that you need to remember, ERSH and ERLH. Now next is the total load. Total load we can call as a grand total load, which falls on the air conditioning apparatus. In that, first one, sensible heat. Now effective room sensible heat, that means bypassed air load. Second, sensible heat of the outside air, that is not bypassed. Return duct heat gain, return duct leakage gain, dehumidifier pump power and dehumidifier and piping losses. So these are coming under total load, which is coming on the air conditioning apparatus. So total sensible heat will be the sum of these all three, or that we have discussed, that is effective room sensible heat from the outside air and return duct heat gain. So that is coming total sensible heat, TSH. And the second category is latent heat. So effective room latent heat is coming under that. Latent heat of outside air which is not bypassed and return duct leakage gain. So similar parameters are coming under latent heat also. So latent heat is calculated by adding these parameters, that is total latent heat is nothing but effective sensible latent heat of outside air and return duct. So sum of that is nothing but total latent heat. And if we are going for the grand total heat, that is GTH, it is nothing but sum of total sensible heat to the total latent heat. We are calling as GTH equal to TSH plus TLH. So that is about the cooling load estimation. In that the RSH and RLH is there, and again ERSH, ERLH we need to think over it. The next slide is about the heating load estimation. Heating load estimate is prepared on the basis of maximum probable heat loss of the room or any space to be heated. Now, the listed points should be considered while making heat load calculation. In that, first one, transmission heat loss. Now, transmission heat loss from the walls, roof is calculated on the basis of just the outside and inside temperature difference. Second is solar radiation. Normally, there is no solar radiation present and hence no solar heat gain at the time of the peak load, which normally occurs in the early morning hours. Next is internal heat gains. The heating requirement is reduced due to the internal heat gains from the occupants, lights, motors and machineries, etc. So that will lead towards the heating load estimation. Now, solar radiation. What is the effect of solar radiation on the sensible heat and latent heat loads? That we are going to see now. Now, the solar radiation intensity normal to the sun rays incident upon a plane surface situated in the limits of the Earth's atmosphere, which varies with the time of the year as the distance of the Earth from the sun changes. Its value when the Earth is at its mean distance from the sun is called, we are calling as solar constant. The normal value of solar constant is assumed as 5045 kilojoule per meter square hour. Now, radiation received at the surface of the Earth is much less because while passing through Earth's atmosphere is scattered and absorbed by the dust and vapor particles and the gases in the atmosphere. The solar heat reaches part of the Earth's surface in the form of two radiations. First one is beam or direct radiation. Second, diffuser sky radiation. What is beam or direct radiation? Now, the part of the sun radiations which travels through the atmosphere and reaches the Earth's surface directly is called beam or direct radiation. It is maximum when the surface is normal to the sun rays. The intensity of the radiation can be increased or decreased by changing the orientation of the surface. So that is direct radiation. Next is diffuser sky radiation. A large part of the sun radiation is scattered, reflected back into space and absorbed by the Earth atmosphere. Now, part of this radiation is re-radiated and reaches the Earth's surface uniformly from all directions. So it is called as a diffuse or sky radiation. It does not normally change with the orientation of the surface. Now, the total radiation, solar radiation reaching a surface is equal to the sum of direct and diffuse radiations. Okay. Next point is about the solar heat gain through glass. So we have seen lot more companies or industries which are constructed with respect to more glass, such as IT buildings having a glasses over whole building. So again, there we need to consider a solar heat gain which contributes a lot on the loads of the air conditioning systems. Now, first one, glass. Now, glass, which is a major material of most buildings, provides the most direct route for entry of solar radiation. For these reasons, the proper estimation of heat gain through glass is always necessary. Second is heat transmitted through a glass surface. Now, heat transmitted through a glass surface depends on the wavelength of radiation and the physical and chemical characteristics of the glass. Now, some part of the radiation is absorbed, some part is reflected, and the rest is the transmitted. So, glass is opaque to the radiant energy emitted from the sources below 200 degrees Celsius. Thus, glass has high transmittivity for short wavelength and low transmissivity for long wavelength radiation. The last one is direct solar gain. It can be reduced by using different types of glass construction, and shades like double pane glass, which reduces the solar heat by 10 to 20%. Special heat absorbing glass reduces the solar heat by 25%. Stained glass can reduce up to 65% depending upon its color. Shading devices installed on the outside of the windows, which reduces sun load up to 15%. And ventilation blinds and curtain shades reduce it by 30% to 35%. So there are some methods or types which can reduce the direct solar heat gain also. Okay, so that is about the solar heat gain through the glass, which enters through the glass. Okay, we'll stop here. We will continue the same chapter in the next lecture. Thank you.